going to tell you something that I've never told anyone. And when I'm done, I need you to look behind you. Not now, when I finish. Just make sure whoever's sitting next to you is still breathing. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that there used to be 4 of us. 4 friends from West Virginia University who decided that the weekend before Halloween, 2023, was the perfect time to drive 3 hours east into the Monongahela National Forest and camp under the stars one last time before the snow came. Only one of us came back. Let me tell you about the others, because they deserve to be remembered as more than just names in a missing persons file. Caleb was the planner, 22, Eagle Scout since middle school, the kind of guy who packed 3 flashlights and a paper map even though we all had phones. He was the reason we even knew about the campsite, an unofficial clearing off Forest Road 75, about a mile past where the gravel turns to rut, in a stand of old hemlock and white oak that locals just call the Hollow. Caleb said his uncle used to take him there as a kid, said it was peaceful, said the deer would come right up to the fire if you sat still long enough. Marcus was the skeptic. Pre-med, 6'4", didn't believe in anything he couldn't dissect. He brought a flask of bourbon and a fold-out chair and a paperback, which I think he packed specifically to annoy Caleb. And then there was Jess. Jess was my girlfriend. Was. She was an art major, all sleeves of tattoos and dyed black hair, and she was the one who insisted we bring her dog, Murphy, this enormous, dumb, beautiful chocolate Labrador who'd never met a stranger in his life. That detail matters. Remember it. We rolled into the Hollow around 4 in the afternoon on a Friday. October light, that brittle gold light you only get in the mountains in late fall, was already slanting low through the trees. The temperature dropped maybe 15 degrees the second we stepped out of the Jeep. You could smell the wood smoke from somebody's cabin miles away, and that wet leaf, root cellar smell that the Appalachians do better than anywhere else on Earth. We set up 2 tents in a rough semicircle around the fire pit, which was just a ring of blackened stones somebody had laid down years ago. Caleb built the fire the way he always did, a perfect little teepee of dry hemlock kindling with a base of birch bark curls. He had it crackling inside of 3 minutes. We drank. We ate hot dogs and pierogies Jess's mom had sent up in foil. Marcus told the same dumb joke he always tells. Murphy ran in circles around the fire, chasing his own shadow until he collapsed in a panting heap at Jess's feet. It was, for about 3 hours, perfect. The first thing that was wrong, I didn't even register at the time. It was the birds. Around 7, just as full dark was coming in, the woods around us went silent. Not the gradual, peaceful settling of evening, a hard cutoff. 1 second there were chickadees and a barred owl somewhere down the ridge. The next second, nothing. Like somebody had flipped a switch. Marcus noticed it first. He looked up from poking the fire and said, "Anybody else feel like we walked into a library?" We all laughed. Caleb said the cold front was probably moving in. Jess threw another log on. Murphy lifted his head and stared into the trees on the north side of the clearing, the side where the slope dropped down toward the creek. His ears went up. He didn't growl. He didn't bark. He just stared for about 90 seconds. Then he tucked his tail between his legs, crawled under Jess's chair, and would not come out. Now, if you've ever owned a lab, you know, labs do not get scared. Labs eat batteries. Labs jump out of moving cars to greet other dogs. Whatever Murphy was looking at out there, his lizard brain knew something the rest of us didn't. Jess tried to coax him out with a piece of pierogi. He whined and pressed himself harder into the dirt. That was when we heard it, the first time. Jess. It came from the tree line, faint, maybe 40 yards out, on that same north slope Murphy had been watching. A man's voice, calling her name. Jess sat up straight. Her face went white in the firelight. "Did one of you—" "Wasn't me," Marcus said. He was already standing. "It wasn't me either," Caleb said. He had his big mag light in his hand now. He swept the beam out into the trees. The light hit hemlock trunks and bracken and nothing else. Marcus cupped his hands around his mouth and shouted, "Hey, somebody out there?" The voice came back almost instantly, closer now, maybe 30 yards. "Jess, Jess, where are you?" It was Caleb's voice. I want you to understand what I mean by that. It wasn't similar to Caleb's voice. It wasn't a passable imitation. It was Caleb's voice. The exact pitch, the slight West Virginia drawl on the where, the little catch in the throat he had when he'd been smoking. And Caleb was standing right next to me, mag light in his hand, mouth hanging open, not saying a word. Jess made a sound I'd never heard a human being make before, a kind of squeak, like all the air left her body at once. She grabbed my wrist so hard her fingernails drew blood. I still have the scars. Marcus said, very calmly, "Okay, somebody's messing with us. We're going to pack up, get in the Jeep, and drive into Elkins and find a hotel. Right now." We didn't argue. Caleb started kicking dirt onto the fire. Jess scooped up Murphy, who weighed 80 pounds and was suddenly the size of a folded napkin in her arms. I started yanking tent stakes out of the ground with my bare hands, and the voice kept coming. "Jess, I'm cold." "Caleb, where did you go, buddy?" It started cycling. Caleb's voice, then my voice. Then it tried to do Jess's voice and it got it wrong. The pitch was right, but the cadence was off, like somebody who'd only heard her speak once or twice, like it was still learning. That's the detail that haunts me, that it was learning. We were maybe 2 minutes from being packed when Murphy bolted. He squirmed out of Jess's arms and tore off into the dark, not toward the voice, away from it, south, down toward the creek. Jess screamed his name and took off after him before any of us could grab her. Caleb went next. He didn't hesitate. He just dropped the tent he was rolling, said, "I got her," and ran into the trees with his mag light swinging. Marcus and I stared at each other across the dying fire. I have replayed that moment in my head 10,000 times. I have asked myself 10,000 times why I didn't grab Marcus's arm and say, "No, we stay together. We stay here." But I didn't. We split up. Marcus went after Caleb and Jess. I stayed at the camp, supposedly to keep the fire going as a beacon, but really because I was a coward. I was 21 years old, and I was so afraid I could feel it in my teeth, and I let my friends run off into the dark because I was too scared to follow. I sat there alone for what my phone later told me was 47 minutes. In that 47 minutes, I heard a lot of things. I heard Jess scream Murphy's name, twice, far off. Then nothing. I heard Marcus shout, "Caleb? Caleb!" once. Then nothing. I heard somebody crashing through brush and breathing hard, getting closer to the camp. I stood up with a burning log in my hand, ready to swing at whatever came out of the trees. What came out of the trees was Caleb. Or what looked like Caleb. Same flannel shirt, same mag light swinging from his right hand, same lopsided smile. He stepped into the firelight and he said, "Hey man, found her. She's okay. Murphy got tangled up in some brambles down by the creek. Come help me carry him out." And I almost went. I had the log in one hand and my flashlight in the other, and I took a step toward him, and then I noticed 3 things. 1, his feet weren't quite touching the ground, not floating, more like he was standing on the dirt without disturbing it. The leaves under his boots weren't crunching. 2, the mag light in his hand wasn't on. Caleb's mag light had been on the entire time he ran into the woods. 3, he wasn't breathing. His chest wasn't moving, not at all. He was just standing there in the firelight, smiling at me, with that dead mag light hanging from a hand that had one too many knuckles on each finger. I didn't say anything. I just stared. And then the thing that looked like Caleb tilted its head, slow, like a curious dog, and the smile got wider, wider than a human jaw is built to go. And it said, in Jess's voice perfectly, "Come help us, baby. We're so cold." I ran. I dropped the log, I dropped the flashlight, I ran for the Jeep, and I did not look back. I heard it behind me, not running, walking, casual, like it knew it didn't need to hurry. The keys were in the ignition. I cranked the engine and floored the Jeep in reverse down that rutted gravel road and did not stop until I hit pavement 6 miles later. I drove to the ranger station in Elkins. I told them everything. They thought I was on drugs. When I refused to leave, they called the state police, and at first light, a team of 23 people, 6 dogs, and a helicopter went into the hollow. They found the camp exactly as we'd left it. Tents half rolled, fire pit cold. 2 sleeping bags still neatly bagged in the corner of Caleb's tent. They did not find Jess. They did not find Caleb. They did not find Marcus. They did not find Murphy. The official report listed it as a triple disappearance, presumed lost to exposure. The case is technically still open. The detective who interviewed me told me off the record that she'd seen 7 cases just like it in 20 years on the job in that part of the state. She told me to never go back into those woods. She told me to never tell anyone what I had really seen. I moved away from West Virginia after that. I finished my degree online. I live in Oregon now. I have a wife, I have a daughter. Nobody knows my real name or my real history. It's been almost 3 years. For a long time, I thought I was free. But here's the thing. Here's the part I haven't told anyone. Until tonight. About 6 months after I moved out here, I started noticing things. Sometimes when I'd pass a mirror in a dark hallway, my reflection would be a half-second slow. Sometimes when my wife would call my name from another room, I'd answer her in a voice that didn't quite sound like mine. Last week, my 4-year-old daughter woke up screaming. She said there was a man in her room who looked like Daddy. She said he was standing in the corner and he wasn't breathing. I went into her room. I checked every closet. I told her it was a dream. And then I came back to bed, and I lay in the dark next to my sleeping wife, and I watched my own chest in the moonlight for a long, long time. And it wasn't moving. So that's my campfire story, the one I've never told anyone. Thank you for letting me sit at your fire tonight. It's such a cold night, and you all look so warm. My friends are going to be so hungry when they get here. You should hear them calling any minute now. They sound just like you.